You got any cash on you?
What for?
Well, if you must know, I'm buying you a Christmas present.
You gonna buy me a Christmas present with my money?
Yeah, so don't be stingy.
You know, never cease to amaze me.
You don't have to count it. I trust you, man. I'm out. See ya.
So you really gonna buy me a present, huh?
I love you, man.
If you love me, let me keep my money.
Welcome to Money Unplugged. I'm Chris Hill. Thanks for being here. Let me start with a programming note. January is a natural time for people to make resolutions for the new year, and two of the most popular categories for those resolutions are health and money. So if you know someone who's talking about trying to do better with money in 2026 and beyond, tell them about the show. Pick your favorite episode, send it to them. I feel like we're having some good conversations about money experiences and psychology that don't really show up in other places. 'Tis the season for sharing, so share your favorite episode with someone you think might enjoy it. Speaking of January, I've already recorded interviews that are lined up for next month, and I gotta say, I am excited for you to hear them. One is with someone who's just written their first book. Another is with best-selling author Carl Richards. Good things coming in January, but that's next month. Right now, it's the holiday season. So as promised, I've got an apropos of nothing style conversation with two of my great friends, Bill Barker and Bill Mann. Now, back when I was hosting podcasts for the Motley Fool, around the holidays, and some of you know this, but around the holidays, we would have these special episodes that had nothing to do with investing or stock market news. And we referred to them as apropos of nothing episodes because we were just shooting the breeze. We were having fun, challenging one another on different topics. So we got together last week, and we were having such a good time. We recorded for almost an hour, so I'm going to spare you that all in one piece. I broke it into two episodes, so the one you're about to hear, most of it is us addressing a topic that we would hit now and again at the Motley Fool. Sometimes on the podcast and sometimes just around the office, we would talk about private companies that we wished were public so we could invest in them. We decided to talk about one of the biggest and arguably the oldest company in the world, run by Santa himself. I am referring, of course, to Kringle Global Enterprises. And we did not really plan our conversation. I'll tell you right now, Bill Barker, Bill Mann, these guys took the topic much more seriously with their investment analysis than I was expecting. I went to Barker with my first question, and it just took off from there. So here we go with an investment analysis of Kringle Global Enterprises. There's not the public documentation that you get with a public company that's doing quarterly earnings reports, but based on what we know from movies and television, how do you think the business looks? Because it's been around for centuries. There are plenty of great companies in history that don't last 50 years, much less centuries. So he's clearly running a profitable enterprise.
Well, I'm going to challenge that. I mean,
okay.
Clearly it's one of the most admirable business by far. But if you're looking at it, one thing that you get to quite quickly is for 100 years now, the revenue has been stuck at zero. There is absolutely no revenue in this business. And that's one of the reasons why.
You know that how?
You yourself, back in the day, once upon a time, received presents from Santa until you got naughty, and then that stopped. But then your kids received them. So you've been on a couple sides of that. And the fact is, you've never received a bill from Kringle Global Enterprises, and so there is no revenue here. And you gotta respect that. But as an investor, the multiple there on price to sales is infinite and has been from the very beginning.
Bill, I have two responses to that. And the first of which is that you have forgotten about the basic law of a company in which you don't pay anything for it, which means you are the product. We know that Kringle Enterprises information gathering engines are all encompassing. He knows whether you're naughty or nice. How does he know that?
I mean, it's been state of the art.
I think it's a data organization. They're making revenues in different channels than the ones that you're thinking of. You are a product.
Well, I understand that the surveillance technology here has been state of the art for well over 100 years and continues to set the standard. I refuse to believe, and this is why
AI started with Kringle.
This is why I'm on the nice list, unlike yourself, that this data is being sold to anybody. This is what your implication, that the data from Kringle Global is going out to like the highest bidder. I don't think Scrooge himself would have gone that far.
Of course it is. Do you?
Of course it is.
Think...
What were you injured as a child? Were you damaged? What happened to you?
Multiple times. Here's what we know. Here's what we believe, actually. We believe and are told that Kringle Incorporated is an elf-driven organization, and I believe at the top that it is. But I think so much of the information that they sell goes actually to toy makers around the world. They know. They have all sorts of presumptions they can make based on the data just from the naughty and nice list.
So following that line of thinking, how much outsourcing do you imagine happens with Kringle Enterprises? Because, you talk to some analysts on Wall Street and they'll tell you, like, no, the elves are doing all the work. It's 100%. There are high input costs as a result of that, but the elves are making 100% of everything. And it sounds like you're saying, like, no, they are outsourcing to toy manufacturers.
Of course the elves are making everything. Has that ever been disputed?
Well, I'm going off of what Bill just said. Like, it sounds like he's saying, Bill Mann, speak for yourself. It sounds like you're saying they're outsourcing some of the toy making.
Look, every year, going back to G.I. Joe with Kung Fu Grip, every single year, the elves mess up some hot toy. It does not, it strains credulity to me that it's actually because of the manufacturing capacity of the elves itself, when the information sharing with the factories, the outsourcing is so important. It's supply chain. It always has been.
I want to focus on the tell there, where he said strains credulity. And of course, belief is the engine that runs this whole thing. So his lack of belief, which we've seen demonstrated in the movie Elf, among other places, this is exactly what the problem.
Powerful documentary, by the way.
It's part is based on a true story, and so the lack of belief is hurting Kringle Global, which has no other inputs except belief, and that's. I mean, obviously, when the presents stopped arriving under your tree in the Mann household at the age of presumably 4 or 5, when you were too naughty or didn't believe or whatever it was, that's why you're coming at it with this attitude.
Can we go back to the elves for 1 second? Because this is a question that's come up before, and it's essentially what are the labor costs at Kringle Enterprise? Are they paid? Is it like a Ford Motor back in the day where Santa's like, no, I'm gonna build the housing, I'm gonna take care of all of that, but you're not getting an actual salary? Or is there a union at play here?
As we know, again, from the documentary Elf, the input costs essentially are sugar, right? I mean, they eat candy canes, candy corn, and syrup. So
right.
Only one of which is available anywhere near the North Pole, by the way. You're talking about things that are driven by a tropically grown plant, sugar.
They've got hothouses there. It's not like the elves eat a lot. Look at them. Look at them. Although I'd like to address this. We've seen the depiction of elves, Elf in Rudolph, some other classics, but we don't know for sure. And I've always entertained the possibility that they may be more kind of Lord of the Rings elves or something like that. Do you think that if you had Lord of the Rings elves, who are substantially larger, they cost a lot more to feed, but also seem like, I mean, they live forever, so there's that. Would that be an improvement over your sort of Rudolph level elf?
No, I think you're looking at Rudolph level elves in part because isn't it explained by Papa Elf in the movie Elf that they've got the nimble fingers for making toys. They have a particular gift for making toys.
I guess the question is whether Kringle considers the elves to be skilled labor.
I would think so. I mean, they're making every toy imaginable, aren't they?
Sure, but here's why I ask, right? Because if they are considered skilled labor, you would think that they would have negotiating power. Why don't we see elves who have left the North Pole amongst us? They're either like skilled labor, or these elves are serfs. Why isn't it, by the way, it's elf and serf. Why isn't it serves?
You have to take that up with the Merriam-Webster people, I think.
Different podcast. My understanding,
much more boring one,
having had access to some of the financials, they're paid entirely in options, and so they're operating under the belief that someday these options will be worth something, and that is basically the payment system. They're not.
You think maybe 50 years ago, Silicon Valley executives got a hold of that business model and said, "Oh, I know what we can do. We can just give people options instead of actually
keep giving them options." Yeah.
It's magic money.
It is. Yeah, I think so. We talked a little bit about the input costs. Distribution, however, if input costs are high, distribution is next to zero, isn't it? I mean, we're talking about 1 day of distribution.
I mean, the logistics enterprise here is, again, the state of the art. And we were
better than Chick-fil-A.
We were doing a little bit of research on this, and the only explanation that seems credible at all is this quantum physics theory on how this is all distributed.
Can you remind me of that?
Well, that Santa...
That sounds smart.
It sounds smart, and yet I have questions.
Well, so that you've got it, obviously, when you do the math, you can't actually deliver these things to 800 million homes or however many million homes you're talking about around the globe. The friction, even if Santa could move at 3x the speed of light, which maybe he can't, but it would destroy the toys, like that. You can't functionally move those. But with quantum mechanics, you can, apparently, smart people believe, sort of exist in two places at the same time, or more than two in Santa's case.
When I was 8, maybe the first question I had about Santa was how it was possible that he delivered everything at midnight everywhere. And I came up with the obvious answer, which was, time zones. He doesn't have to do everything. He's got actually 24 hours.
Right. Oh, yeah. There's that's, to me, one of the many illuminating parts of the movie Fred Claus. Like they've got a command center, sort of their version of NORAD, and he is systematically going by time zones.
Yeah. I would describe that as being the moment of clarity in Fred Claus.
I think that's right.
So the other thing that we have to take into account, we've got logistics, but the other thing is that there's an incredible tax advantage for being on the North Pole.
Are taxes collected on the North Pole? I mean, this seems like a tax-free zone.
It is a tax-free zone, which suggests why they would be in such a place.
How do you think the big guy negotiated that?
Who's he negotiating with? It's not even like Dubai, right? You're like, oh yeah, we should do this.
That's a fair point.
If we were to talk about a company that has gone public that reminds you the most of Kringle Global, and you were talking about the Ford example, running the town and everybody living and being cared for by Ford. It feels more like the origin story of Hershey, doesn't it? And the post game for Hershey as well. And I think that might explain a little bit more and possibly how this thing operates, which is somebody, not Milton Hershey himself, but you've got to go back a couple hundred years more, made a bequest to Kringle Global, and it is working off an endowment that is of several times the size of the Hershey one that Milton Hershey left, which still, runs the Milton Hershey School, and there's insane amounts of profits that have just been there and can't be spent. And I think that could be the only way that Kringle Global could, because as I say, there are no revenues. There have to be some costs, and where is the money coming from? Somebody, some philanthropist of several hundred years ago, leaving a substantial amount of money.
The Milton Hershey School, for folks who don't know about this, is actually fascinating. It was done by an endowment, left by Milton Hershey. It has 2,000 low-income students who pay nothing to go to this school with top-tier facilities. It's really, really, really incredible. So Hershey actually would have been my vote for the company, publicly traded company that's most like.
So, Barker, is it reasonable to assume that, if the endowment that you're referring to was in fact set up, that Santa also has some type of a family office that is running the investment portfolio for Kringle Global?
Must.
I would hope so.
Following that line of thinking, there's a paper trail, isn't there? There's got to be. Don't they have to register? Like if you're running a family office?
Where? Where?
Not if these guys are any good.
Right. They're offshore. They are truly offshore.
These guys.
That's true.
This is an offshore enterprise.
That's
these
true.
guys are the best in the world, right?
Who needs the Marshall Islands or Guernsey when you've got the North Pole?
Well,
there's no paperwork. So
and no one wants to find it either, right? I mean, who's gonna go after them?
No, a belief-driven enterprise. What is it? What is an audit going to do for a belief-driven enterprise?
It's a fair point.
It's not good. So I promised myself when my kids were young that I would never lie to them about the existence of Santa, that I would always answer the question. And our son, when he was about 7, came home from school and he said, "Dad, there are a lot of kids who got really nice presents for Christmas, and there are a lot of kids who didn't get much for Christmas, and I want to know why." That I phrased that like a didn't happen of the year, like phraseology. It was 7th grade. It's like, why do some kids get really nice stuff and some kids not get nice stuff? And again,
and you said because of the naughty list, right?
No.
Oh.
Yes, that would be a lie. I said because the parents pay for the gifts. And he took from that the lie, I guess, which was parents are paying Santa. So I wonder if actually Bill Barker's assumption and presumption that Santa Enterprises, Kringle Incorporated, is revenueless is based on a misunderstanding of their business model. And it's actually a massive cash forward business where they get the money way before they have to provide the goods.
My explanation is based on experience in that I have both.
You've been on the naughty list forever.
I have both received a number of gifts from Santa, and so have my children. And there has been no exchange of funds for any of that. Now, maybe I'm just getting a better deal out of Santa than your household is.
Could be. In your household, did the parents pay for the gift from Santa?
I assume not. I assume. What do you mean?
It sounds like you're both of the mind that, like, look, this is a private company that needs to stay private. There's certainly no upside for them to go public. So the extent to which any of us might want to invest in Kringle Global Enterprises, It's like, well, keep wishing for that because it's never going to happen.
It would be the largest company by market cap on the planet. It would be an absurd part of the S&P 500 by percentage.
I mean, I could see where they might put out some crypto because I don't think that you really need to have anything backing that at all, right? So I could see that. That might be a revenue generator. There are some stupid people out there that would buy Santa coin.
It already exists.
See?
Wait, is there actually a cryptocurrency called Santa coin?
You didn't hear me typing? There are several cryptocurrencies. This is what AI tells us, probably run by Santa Incorporated. There are several cryptocurrencies named Santa or using the ticker $SANTA, functioning as festive, often meme coin focused tokens on blockchains.
Yeah.
So we have no reason not to believe that's actually coming from the North Pole.
That is the best guess and the obvious one. In fact, Chris, thanks for stating the obvious.
Right.
You know, back in the day when we did some of these holiday themed shows, I think that one of them was actually entitled Kringle PI. And
a classic.
And I think, it explored some combinations of Santa, that on the side, he would be maybe in some buddy cop situations, mismatched buddy cop situations, and he would be solving crimes because he's got some time outside of Christmas to solve crimes.
And by the way, that if anything is clear from movies and television specials, it is that once the toys are delivered, come December 26th, the big guy is kicking back and doing almost nothing. I mean, it is a hands-off. The elves get right back to work. They're making toys for the next year. And he's basically like, I think I'm going to the beach. I'm done. I've got minimum 6, probably closer to 10 months to just do whatever I want.
Yeah. And what he likes to do, some believe, is solve crimes. And so I Bill Mann mentioned AI. I had thrown out AI give me some ideas for a good Christmas character mismatched buddy cop pairs, and I'm just going to throw 2 of them at you. In one case, AI went pretty dark, I thought, but Scrooge and Buddy the Elf as a certainly the mismatch is there, right?
Yeah.
Wait, you're talking about, you asked AI, hey, what would be some Christmas-themed mismatched buddy cop pairings? And one of them was Ebenezer Scrooge and Buddy the Elf?
But yes. Which I thought, it understood what I wanted when it came up with that answer, right?
Yes, for sure. I have a hard time imagining what either of them bring to the table in the actual solving of crimes.
You'll have to watch the movie to see what kind of skills they bring towards solving crimes. But I just want to mention this other one, which I thought was a bit of a showstopper, and I'm not sure I ever would have come up with on my own. But the buddy cop, in order to solve crimes, remember that part, Charlie Brown and the Ghost of Christmas Future.
Wow. That is incredibly mismatched. And I think the first part of that relationship is Charlie Brown coming to grips with the fact that he's been partnered up with a ghost.
I mean, I think the script writes itself there, but
it kind of does. So I'm basing this off of the version of A Christmas Carol that I have watched the most, which is Scrooged with Bill Murray. And in that one, the Ghost of Christmas Future is the most terrifying of the 3 ghosts. Is that how it's written?
Always
is that always it?
No. Scrooge comes up with this horrifying, version involving death and graves and Tiny Tim hardly having, made it, a few hours more. But it's what might happen, right? It's not definitely going to happen. And so that's what really scares Scrooge. He's hanging on to his Scroogeness prior to the visit from the Ghost of Christmas Future, who is terrifying.
I'm going to go back to Bill Mann's reaction to the first pairing, which is, I'm hard-pressed to see what either Charlie Brown or the Ghost of Christmas Future bring to the table in terms of solving crimes.
Ghost of Christmas Future, that guy can solve crime. That guy knows a lot. First of all,
that ghost can absolutely, if you're looking to shake down some informants, yeah, that's the one you're putting the Ghost of Christmas Future in a room alone, a windowless room. You're putting them in there. But other than that, and Charlie
Let me
Brown,
show you your future.
It is.
Sorry,
I agree
Bill.
that Charlie Brown's crime-solving skills are unexplored, let us say, at this point. Certainly through the Christmas classic itself. But he's got some resources. He I guess, doesn't he? I think the Ghost of Christmas Future is the one who's probably bringing more to the table on solving crimes. Especially murders. Let's remember, this guy is kind of aligned with death. Some reason to believe that, a close relation with death itself.
He almost has an unfair advantage in terms of solving crimes, right? Because he has the ability to time travel to hear from the future. Why can't he just go a little bit farther?
By definitionally, he's operating in the multiverse, right?
So Charlie Brown is basically just carrying his stuff.
Well, Charlie, he needs a voice. I don't think the Ghost of Christmas Future can speak, which makes the interrogation, first of all, somebody's willing to say anything just to get the ghost to stop haunting them, but They don't know what to do. Right, so you need obviously Charlie Brown is the good cop in this situation.
Right. So they're both in the windowless room with the informant, and Charlie Brown is the one saying, I think you better tell him what he wants to know.
I can get you some coffee.
Eventually, he's going to possess my body again, and you will be sorry.
I'm pretty sure you don't want me to leave the room to get anything for you. Maybe you should just start talking.
There you go. Hope you enjoyed that. There is more holiday talk to come because next week the conversation continues as we discuss holiday splurges, regretful purchases, the Mount Rushmore of holiday movies, and more. I'm Chris Hill. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next week.